What's good? It's Jordan. Today I'll be talking to you about authenticity governs all. See, in this life today, we have to understand what it is to be authentic. Sometimes in this life, it's going to be hard to be authentic. As you've seen in this world, many times those who are not authentic are rewarded with the trinkets and treasures of the world. That is the world for you. We have to understand that through it all, those trinkets and treasures are only temporary, and essentially in this life, they mean nothing. We have to understand morals, principles, and standards for our own life. When we don't understand morals, principles, and standards, we're easily controlled, we're easily manipulated, and we're easily governed over. When you do not want to take the time out of your life to actually understand what you believe in, understanding doing the right thing, understanding how being authentic can get you far, and then you want to waver and do the wrong things, there's going to be a drastic change when doing that. And we have to understand that in this life, there's both sides of the spectrum. There's either good or there's evil. And in this life, you have to understand what side of the fence you're on. You can either be on the side of good or you can be on the side of evil. The decision is yours. Many times I saw in this life where people who were on the good side stated that they were tired of being on the good side because the good side doesn't pay, you don't get rewarded for it, and nothing good happens out of being on the good side. You get used, taken advantage of, and essentially you don't end up with anything. And then there's those who are on the bad side that wanted people to come onto the bad side, and wanted people to be selfish, and wanted people to actually give into their selfish natures and desires and temptations. So they can say they're not the only ones on the bad side. This person is doing things as well too. We have to understand how the enemy works. The enemy does not want you on the good side. The enemy wants you on the bad side because the enemy knows where he is going. We have to understand this, and we have to not get blindsided by the things of this world. And sometimes it's hard for people to understand, because when you live in this world right now, you're thinking about time, you're thinking about days, weeks, months, years, and what you need to get done and what challenges you may face at that given moment. But in reality, if we walk this spectrum, not understanding the importance of doing right and doing good, then essentially we're living for the world. And when you live for the world, when the world gets destroyed, you also get destroyed with it. So we have to understand who we want to live for. Do we want to live for God, or do we want to live for the enemy? And sometimes people have been placed in predicaments where they were good, and dealing with other people in this world who have selfish natures, it turned them sour, it turned them negative. And those people saw in the midst of those situations that they felt that being good, nothing comes out of it. And we have to change the narrative. And we actually have to hold people accountable when they're taking advantage of other people, when they're manipulating other people, when they are placing deceptions on the world. We never hold these people accountable. Usually the good people always get chastised, when the bad people and the enemy should be chastised for all of the wickedness that has been placed on this world. See, when you start to hold people accountable for their actions and their wrongdoings, under the pretense of someone actually doing something wrong, then change occurs. Many times we allow people to do negative things when we know that it's wrong. We may be on the side, and because we feel uncomfortable with it, but we're not able to defend ourselves. We're not able to help others. We may not say anything, but internally we know that it is not right. Or other times we may laugh at a situation or a scenario, but give a comfortable laugh to that individual to make them feel like what they may say or what they may do is right. Or we may give an uncomfortable laugh where we may not agree with that thing of what they said or what they did. But we have to understand that if we don't hold people accountable for the negativity that they may present, that it just continues, and oftentimes I feel like in this life, people may go through a negative situation, and because they go through that negative situation, they don't care for other people. It just turns them cold and more selfish. And then there's other times where people may not go through a situation, but they see injustice and they see other people going through negative situations, and they may not say anything because it didn't happen to them or they didn't see it. But in reality, they saw it, and in this life, if we don't take care of each other, then who will, If we don't understand that God provided us the spirit of strength and not the spirit of fear, then what happens? Like, in this life, if we don't make the change and we don't speak up, there will be no change. And change occurs in numbers. When you start to unify and you know that there is negative situations and scenarios going on, and you speak up about it, there's change. People may change their viewpoints and their ideologies based upon that situation, or they may cower it away and go where they need to go. But the fact is, we cannot allow negativity to continue and permeate this society. All of our voices are important. And if we don't vocalize our opinions on negativity and negative things that happen to us and others, there will be no change. The enemy does not want change. The enemy wants to divide and conquer. When we know the objective of the enemy, we're able to blindside the enemy and we're able to defeat the enemy. But if we want to live in comfort and we don't care about injustice that goes on in this world and in this life, what happens when injustice happens to us? And oftentimes people only care about situations when they go through that situation, but that's not right. We have to care for one another and we have to be authentic in everything that we do, because in this life, people are watching. You can be a very influential person. We have to understand where the influence stems from. And we have to be real with our situation and our circumstance. Because if we're not real with our situation and our circumstance, others people can take advantage of that. And in this life, for me, I know when I speak to other people, I'm able to be authentic as possible and just tell people the truth. Like, I don't have a problem telling the truth about any given thing. But I know that there are people in this life who work for the enemy that will weaponize your truth and may try to use your truth against you. So I can understand where people are more defensive and they may keep a lot of things private because it can be weaponized against them in the end. So I understand the aspect of people just being more reserved and not saying a lot of things, because in reality, there are people who work for the enemy that will weaponize you with the words that you may use, the truth that you may tell. And in reality, we have to understand that there are people who genuinely care for you, and then there's people who actually don't care for you and just want you to be in the same circumstance that they may be in. You have to decipher and understand who really genuinely cares for you and who wants you to be miserable like themselves. So in this life, just know and understand that, authenticity governs all. When you're authentic, you don't have to lie about anything. You don't have to walk around with your head down and be hidden and always be reserved because someone may figure out the truth in your life or whatever the case may be. When you're authentic, you can walk in your truth and be free. That's what true freedom is. Being able to walk and know that you don't have to be hidden and scared and fearful of what others may say about you, about what others may do towards you. But just knowing and understanding that when you live in truth, that there's strength within that. And I feel as though that when you start to live in truth, there are going to be people who work for the enemy who don't want you to live in truth. And we have to understand that in this life, everyone can go, and sometimes you may be on this path alone and on this journey alone. But as long as you're living authentically, and you know that you're living authentically, and you're being honest, being truthful, being fair towards others, and following the laws and statutes and commandments that the Most High has been provided, then you start to understand what this life is really about. So today, I'll be ending off with this scripture, and I hope that this scripture can help you in your own personal life. John 16:13. When the Spirit of truth comes, he will guide you into all the truth, for he will guide you into all. John 16:13. When the Spirit of truth comes, he will guide you into all the truth, for he will not speak on his own authority, but whatever he hears, he will speak, and he will declare to you the things that are to come. I want to thank you for watching today. I hope that in your own personal life, you can learn to be more authentic, more truthful, more honest, and know that when you are more authentic in your life, you don't have to lie about anything. You don't have to hold anything back because you may feel like others may look at you in a negative light or a negative way. And you essentially get to live in freedom and peace. Once you're real, there are people who understand that and know that. There's people who will gravitate towards you for being real in this life today. I want to thank you for watching.